Hello, welcome to my channel. It is a Holy Bible learning and it's sing, pray, and Bible study. So you can see worship songs with the lyrics on my channel, and I will post videos on prayer. There are a few concepts in the Bible. One, that prayer is heard by God, the Creator. He is the Lord. He is a high priest that can hear everything. And not only is a high priest, he is a king of kings, a king of angels, of holy angel warriors. And they are power, and they can move heaven and earth for you and make things happen for you. He sends them. But you should not, in Chinese it's called 小看. You shouldn't look at them as if they're small. They're actually more elevated, higher beings than humans. But let's continue with Leviticus 17. Eating blood is forbidden. The Lord said to Moses, "Speak to Aaron and his sons and to all the Israelites, and say to them, this is what the Lord has commanded. Any Israelite who sacrifices an ox," there's a note here, male or female, this is not too long. Remember, we are in Leviticus 17, and there are 27 chapters, so just 10 to go. A lamb or a goat in the camp or outside of it. Instead of bringing it to the entrance to the tent of meeting to present it as an offering to the Lord in front of the tabernacle of the Lord, that person shall be considered guilty of bloodshed. So you have to sacrifice your sacrifice. Back then, in front of the priest and in front of this tent, they have shed blood and must be cut off from their people. This is so the Israelites will bring to the Lord the sacrifices they are now making in the open fields. Okay, so the Lord wanted to change the way they were doing things. They must bring them to the priest, that is, to the Lord, at the entrance to the tent of meeting, and sacrifice them as fellowship offerings. The priest is to splash the blood against the altar of the Lord at the entrance to the tent of meeting, and burn the fat as an aroma pleasing to the Lord. They must no longer offer any of their sacrifices to the goat idols to whom they prostitute themselves. This is to be a lasting ordinance for them and for the generations to come. Say to them, any Israelite or any foreigner residing among them who offers a burnt offering or sacrifice and does not bring it to the entrance to the tent of meeting to sacrifice it to the Lord must be cut off from the people of Israel. I will set my face against any Israelite or any foreigner residing among them who eats blood, and I will cut them off from the people. For the life of a creature is in the blood, and I have given it to you to make atonement for yourselves on the altar. It is the blood that makes atonement for one's life. Therefore I say to the Israelites, none of you may eat blood nor may any foreigner residing among you eat blood. So you have to remember, the Israelites now have a tabernacle, like a temple, where God lives among them. So as long as he's living among them in the tabernacle, he's saying to everyone that lives around, you can't eat blood. So you can eat blood. I think there are a lot of delicacies, I would call them, that are blood. But if you are, I remember the apostles, they had 4 rules. They said, don't pollute, try to get married, eat the best meat or food possible, and don't eat blood. So that's really for, those rules are also for any Christian. So you might wonder, where is God? He lives right here in your heart. Now, remember? Any Israelite or any foreigner residing among you who hunts any animal or bird that may be eaten must drain out the blood and cover it with earth, because the life of every creature is in its blood. That is why I have said to the Israelites, you must not eat the blood of any creature, because the life of every creature is in its blood. Anyone who eats it must be cut off. Anyone, whether native born or foreigner, who eats anything found dead or torn by wild animals, must wash their clothes and bathe with water. Then they will be ceremonially unclean till evening. Then they will be clean. But if they do not wash their clothes and bathe themselves, they will be held responsible. Let's go to Leviticus 18. Unlawful sexual relations. The Lord said to Moses, speak to the Israelites and say to them, I am the Lord your God. That is, I am is something like EAE, and Adonai, Eloheinu. EAE is unpronounceable. It is like, I'm using I forgot the name for it. Instead of Apple, A dot, A with a period. E, period. Asher, E, period. That is, I am. And then the Lord is Adonai. And your God, the word Eloheinu means our God. But, he's saying, I'm your God. So he's our God, plural. Your God. He's, also my God, but he's our God. You must not do as they do in Egypt, where you used to live. Oh, so in Egypt, they used to just sleep with anything and anyone. And you must not do as they do in the land of Canaan, where I am bringing you. Do not follow their practices. You must obey my laws and be careful to follow my decrees. I am the Lord your God. Keep my decrees and laws, for the person who obeys them will live by them. I am the Lord. No one is to approach any close relative to have sex. I am the Lord. Do not dishonor your father. By having sex with your mother. She is your mother. Do not have relations with her. Let me stop for a second. There is a commandment that says, honor your father and mother. I learned that you are not supposed to talk bad about them. Mainly, that's the main thing. You don't have to do that much for them. I don't. In God's eyes, I'm not sure because there's Christian life and then there's your personal life and there's family life. So I think mainly you don't talk bad about your parents, but here's another one, don't have sex with your mom. Gross. Do not have sex with your father's wife or any of your father's wives. That would dishonor your father. Do not have sex with your sister. Either your father's daughter or your mother's daughter, whether she was born in the same home or elsewhere. Do not have sexual relations, sex with your son's daughter or your daughter's daughter. That would dishonor you. Do not have sex with the daughter of your father's wife, born to your father. She is your sister. Do not have sex with your father's sister. Do not have sex with your father's sister. She is your father's close relative. Do not have sex with your mother's sister, because she is your mother's close relative. Do not dishonor your father's brother by approaching his wife to have sex. She is your aunt or your aunt. Do not have sex with your daughter-in-law. She is your son's wife. Do not have relations with her. Do not have sex with your brother's wife. That would dishonor your brother. Do not have sex with both a man. Do not have sex. Let me start over. This is verse 17. Do not have sex with both a woman and her daughter. Do not have sex with either her son's daughter or her daughter's daughter. They are her close relatives. That is wickedness. Do not take your wife's sister as a rival wife and have sex with her while your wife is living. Do not approach a woman to have sex during the uncleanness of her monthly period. Do not have sex with your neighbor's wife and defile yourself with her. Do not give any of your children to be sacrificed to Moloch, for you must not profane the name of your God. I am the Lord. Do not have sex with a man as one does with a woman. That is detestable. Do not have sex with an animal and defile yourself with it. A woman must not present herself to an animal to have sexual relations with it. That is a perversion. Do not defile yourselves in any of these ways, because this is how the nations that I am going to drive out before you became defiled. Even the land was defiled, so I punished it for its sin, and the land vomited out its inhabitants. But you must keep my decrees and my laws. The native born and the foreigners residing among you must not do any of these detestable things, for all these things were done by the people who lived in the land before you, and the land became defiled. And if you defile the land, it will vomit you out, as it vomited out the nations that were before you. Everyone who does any of these detestable things, let's take a look. How many detestable things did he mention? Not verse 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So wicked is to have sex with a woman and her daughter. And profaning the name of the Lord is giving your children to be sacrificed. Okay, verse 22. So the native born and foreigners, all residing, must not do any of these detestable things. So back then, the Lord was saying to Israelites and everyone living around his tabernacle, no gay, no homo. Remember, this is back then. For all these things were done by the people who lived in the land before you, and the land became defiled. And if you defile the land, again, it will vomit you out, as it vomited out the nations that were before you. Everyone who does any of these detestable things, such persons must be cut off from their people. Keep my requirements and do not follow any of the detestable customs that were practiced before you came, and do not defile yourselves with them. I am the Lord your God. Thank you for listening. I would just like to say that sometimes if you're not wanted, then it's not a big deal. You find another place where people appreciate you. People spoke differently back then. God seems so harsh, but I guess, what would you expect? He commands, and I have never seen him really negotiate. He did it with Abraham, but when God says some things, sometimes it doesn't matter what you say; it'll happen. His will is what's called irresistible. It's just, if he says something, what can you do? So he doesn't. I do not believe that God hates anyone. He just has requirements, and just as if you watch my earlier videos, it's not quite the same thing. Like sometimes people will be sent away. It seems so harsh, But God told one of his Kadosh Malakim to comfort them and say to them that God will still be with you, and he will still bless you mightily. So thank you for listening. Have a great day.